Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gone Fishing Podcast. My name is Eric Wiedeke, as always. You can follow me on Twitter at Eric Wiedeke by the same name there. It's just very plain. Lots to talk about this week. The Marlins go 4-2, but before we do, I just want to get it out of the way. Like I said, this is going to be aired on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel, so do make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help share our reach as we get to the most important sports news of the week here in South Florida, the Miami Marlins. No, I'm being completely facetious there. The Heat and the Panthers and their unbelievable run. The people at 5 Reasons are locked in. We're all over it. There's plenty of great Panthers coverage from guys like Alex Baumgartner on the network. And then the Heat guys are always doing what they do. Ethan, Greg, and those guys, they are always providing fantastic content. Brady. So, just to name a few, don't want to leave anybody else out there. But congratulations to both those teams and the runs that they are on. And I know that those runs are nowhere near over as of yet. So, like I said, congratulations to those teams, South Florida sports. A really exciting time right now. But I do want to get into the Marlins here. So I'm going to get into the players of the week. Jorge Soler for the Marlins. There were actually a lot of really good options this week for the Marlins. That's kind of going to be a theme for me. And this one is the bats starting to kind of wake up a little bit here in mid-May. Soler this week hits 292, 346 on base, 667 slugging, a 1013 OPS. The walk-off home run against the Nationals earlier on this week to really start off the week right. They end up sweeping the Nationals there, and he was a big part of that. And then your pitcher of the week last week, I did give him kind of an honorable mention shout out with Yuri Perez making his first start. But Braxton Garrett Saturday afternoon was just brilliant. Goes 6 1/3 innings of one hit ball, allows 1 walk, strikes out 8, no earned runs, 2 back-to-back really impressive starts for him. And really, he's pitched to a 4.6 this year, but against non-Atlanta Braves lineups, he's looking at, probably an ERA in the mid-2s this year. He's been a really stabilizing force in this rotation for the Marlins. So just stellar work from him. And at the minor league level, your minor league hitter of the week is Troy Johnston. In 6 games this week, he hit 381 with a 482 on base and a 667 slugging percentage, 2 homers, 7 runs batted in. Johnston is an interesting prospect, the number 29 player in the Marlins system. 25 years old, so a little bit of an older guy at the AA level, lefty batter, and he does play first base. So that'll be something to look at as we continue to go forward. Uriel, and you've got Garrett Cooper there. But Cooper, as of late, has not been really anywhere near what the Marlins need him to be in the lineup. So depending on how long those struggles go on, it'll be interesting to see as we get into June, July, August, what the Marlins organizational plan at first base is. And this is all pending him not turning it around. So if he turns it around, even better. Getting to the minor league pitcher of the week, we have Cade Gibson, 10th round draft pick for the Marlins last year. The lefty pitched 5 innings of 1 run ball in Jupiter, struck out 8, and was promoted to High A Beloit. So congratulations to him. He's been pretty good for them so far this year, and excited to see what he can do at the next level. But something that I really want to get into this week is, so the Marlins go 4-2. Little bit of a bad taste in your mouth with that loss in San Francisco. Personally, I'm a little bit more upset about how that 9th inning played out on Sunday. Xavier Edwards gets rung up on a pitch way below his knees on a full count, no less. So that changes the complete momentum there. Although I think that game was really, I hate to play armchair quarterback here. But my opinion was I would have had a quicker hook with Luzardo. I would have just let him get out of there with a feeling pretty good about himself and rallying back to get 5 innings a 4-run ball. But, hindsight is 2020 on that. The Marlins 4-2 this week. And the theme that I really want to hit on is the bats starting to finally kind of wake up for this ball club. Going to talk about a little bit more specifically the back end of the bullpen and how that's looked, because that was something that we had been wondering about. What is the back end going to look like off of the AJ Puck injury? And now that I brought it up, I'm just going to get into it right away. Dylan Flora was my second pick for the pitcher of the week. He gets 3 saves, including a 4-out save in San Francisco. He's really stepped into that closer role pretty seamlessly. JT Chargois come back and he's been really strong. I think one of the common themes this year that we've seen pretty much from the start of the season up until now has been the bullpen and how impressive they've been. And it's really no shortage of guys. It's not just that you have 2 or 3 really quality pitchers in the bullpen. You've got quality and quantity. You're looking at JT Chargois, and you're looking at Dylan Floro, AJ Puck before he got hurt, Huascar Brazaban. I know he struggled lately, but he's been really strong all year. Andrew Nardi's been relatively good. Matt Barnes. Who else am I missing? I know I'm probably Stephen Okert, Tanner Scott. It's just one of those things where and Brian Hoeing right now as the long guy. It's just one of those things, and it really goes to show you how much a bullpen can really keep you in games, because the starters have been a little bit disappointing this year. They've been better lately, with the exclusion of Sandy and Jesus' most recent start. Yuri Perez has come in and done a really strong job in his first few big league starts. Braxton Garrett, as I highlighted, has been really, really pretty strong all year, aside from the start in Atlanta. And you've got Edward Cabrera coming off of, unquestionably his best start of the season, goes 5 innings, does not allow a single walk to the Nationals, the first time that he's done that since last season. So you really hope that going into a series against Colorado, where he had arguably the best start of his career last year, you hope that he can kind of continue that success. But I want to get into the bats here, and when you look at where this team is and what needs to improve, I think 2 weeks ago we would have all said the starting lineup, and especially with Jazz going down and Jesus Sanchez going down, it's really going to take guys stepping up in the lineup to kind of keep their heads above water, because this team is going to have a significant infusion of talent here in the next 3 to 4 weeks, if they're able to keep their heads above water. I'm talking AJ Puck coming back, Trevor Rogers coming back, Jazz coming back, Jesus Sanchez coming back. These are guys that were expected to be really major contributors on this ball club coming into the season. Maybe not Jesus Sanchez, but he has turned into that, I think, because, he's one of the few guys on this roster that can really get hot and kind of carry an offense for a couple of weeks. But I want to talk about the bats that are currently in the lineup right now, and I want to highlight just a few guys because you've really got 6 right now that are on fire over this last week or so. John Birdie hitting 357 over the last week. He's been really good. I want to see him at the top of the lineup, kind of replicating a little bit of that birdie ball that we saw last year around this time, where he was leading off and kind of keeping the offense afloat by himself with what he's able to do, getting on base and causing issues on the base paths for opposing teams. Brian De La Cruz this week hit 304. Starting to see some really good slugging numbers out of him. He's got really good power. The exit velocity numbers on him have always been really impressive, and he's starting to put that together. Luis Arraez hitting 381. Pretty much ho-hum for him. That's his season average at this point is 381. It's just really ridiculous, but you don't want to take it for granted when you have a guy doing that so consistently in your lineup. Jorge Soler, as I pointed out, 292. Went 4 for 4 yesterday in San Francisco, and the one thing that I love to see is him swinging a really solid bat prior to going to Coors, because you know what he can do in a ballpark like that. Nick Fortes, half of that catching duo. The one thing that I do think was interesting this week is that he started in 4 games of your 6 this week, which I think is probably a ratio that you want to see a little bit more of between him and Stallings, just because the difference between the bat and even the defense um, has been really immense between these two. The bat even more so of late. Fortes hitting 313 and slugging 500 over the last week. So Nick Fortes starting to kind of break out of his funk a little bit. Xavier Edwards has had 3 starts this week, 2 of them multi-hit games. So you're looking at a guy in Xavier Edwards that I want to see him get more at bats. I haven't seen a really bad at bat out of Edwards yet. He puts the bat on the ball quite a bit. Really, really quick on the base paths. He's another guy that I think, you can look at, and a Birdie Edwards 1-2 top of the order combo really does intrigue me for this team. And it's one of those things where if you're looking for reasons to be positive, it's that this is all kind of happening as the schedule is a little bit softer. The Marlins 4-2 this week, 5-2 over their last 7 games, and you've got guys that are finally starting to perform. You'd love to see Garrett Cooper get it together, because it's a contrast between the guys that are really hot and the guys that are really not. Because you're looking at Garrett Cooper, Jacob Stallings, Joey Wendell. If these guys were even just like semi-struggling or just a little bit below average, you wouldn't notice it as much. But when it's contrasted by the hitting performances that you're getting from some of the other guys in the lineup, it just makes it all the more jarring. But I don't want to harp on those guys too much. Hopefully this is a situation where a rising tide raises all ships, and those guys eventually start to hit a little bit more. As the week goes on, you've got 4 in Coors, which for a team that's hitting the ball as well as they are, I do, this is a must-win series. You've got to go 3-1 against Colorado. 3 at the Angels is going to be a little bit more difficult. But hopefully, they take some of that momentum that they're able to gain in Coors and take it with them to LA. So the pitching matchups, you've got Yuri, or you've got Edward, you've got Yuri, you've got Sandy, and you've got Braxton again in Colorado. You feel really good about those 4. Yuri, the 3 runs he has allowed have been of the home run, so that does worry you just a little bit with him. But for the most part, you can only hit home runs when you make contact with the ball, and he's been really good on not allowing contact. So not too worried about that from the pitching perspective. And then the bats just need to continue to be hot. This is a Rockies team that's 19-28. They're not particularly good. These are games that Miami has to win. This is a 3-1 type series. This is a team 24-23. You got to come out of this series 3 games over 500. If you're sitting at Memorial Day and you go over this next 7, you go 5-2 over this next 7, and you're looking at 29-25. I think you're ecstatic with where this team is. And so, I think right now it's trending towards the Marlins kind of being able to hold on until they get that infusion of talent, because I think when you get Jazz back and you get Sanchez back, combined with the way that some of these guys in the line play out, I think you're really cooking with gas with this roster, and kind of you're at least putting yourself in a position to make noise, which is, I think, all you could have asked for going into this season. you're staying competitive into June. You're putting yourself into that conversation to where, are we buyers at the deadline? And I think that's where the Marlins wanted to be all year long. This is where they've wanted to be, is okay, now let's use the deadline to kind of improve this thing and really try to make a push towards the postseason. And I think that's where they're um, in position to be at this moment if they take care of business the way that they should over this next week and over the course of these next few games. As I think they have a meeting with the A's after that meeting with the Angels as well. So really, it's the next 10 that are going to be crucial for them. But we will be tracking that the whole way here on Gone Fishing. Looking at the prize picks for today, I do have a pick for today as the Marlins are playing in this one. Do forgive me here for my unpreparedness. Really unprofessional stuff here, if I do say so myself. But I am looking at this is great stuff here. I am looking at two things. I'm looking at Luis Arraez, over 8 fantasy points. It's going to be a game in Coors. I expect it to be, relatively high scoring. And then whatever Edward Cabrera's strikeout numbers are, go over. It hasn't been posted yet. Usually I would expect it to be 5.5, maybe 6. I think Edward Cabrera fans 7, 8 tonight. I'm really hoping he can carry over some of that momentum that he got in against the Nationals tonight. So that'll be all for today. As I said, we will be here covering it as we get deeper into the dog days of summer. It is a long season, and we will have it all covered with you here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. And as I said, make sure to like and subscribe. There's tons of content covering all the sports news over South Florida, whether it's the Canes, the Dolphins, the Heat, and the Panthers, of course, right now on this fantastic run. FC Miami, or Miami FC, just a crazy time to be a Miami sports fan. And we've got you covered here on the Marlins on Gone Fishing going forward. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week.